Good evening from Minneapolis. I'm Chris Hayes. It is my second day here on the ground, and it is clear that a moral scandal is eating at the Trump administration. Americans across the political spectrum, I think across region and partisan affiliation, are at the least uneasy, at the most disgusted, watching agents of our government, paid with our tax dollars, representatives of us, grab people out of cars and use children as bait to lure their parents into an abduction, and then shooting and killing 2 Americans at point blank range as those Americans are exercising their constitutional rights. People hate this. And so now the administration is in damage control, and they're blaming each other for those killings. There are now bipartisan calls for Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem to step down. In response, Noem appears to be privately/publicly blaming the president and White House advisor Stephen Miller. Axios published a piece. It's a great piece that you should read because it's all of the sort of knives are out in it. And in that piece, it claims that Noem's first statement calling Alex Preddy a terrorist, the man killed on the street, shot at point blank range, that statement calling him a terrorist was driven by Stephen Miller, according to 4 sources. Then Stephen Miller's wife, podcaster Katie Miller, came to his defense, posting excerpts of that Axios report that said Stephen Miller had been getting his information straight from Border Patrol. We're seeing this everywhere. They've already tried to pin the blame on Greg Bovino, the now former commander-at-large of the Border Patrol, a man who was stripped of that title, shipped out of Minneapolis, sent back on duty in California. He's approaching his retirement after 30 years at CBP. Today, an official with knowledge directly contradicted Bovino, who, remember, said something astounding the other day. He said that the 2 Border Patrol agents who took out their guns and fired those bullets that killed Alex Preddy were still working, that they just went back to work. That official telling MS Now the 2 have indeed been placed now on administrative leave pending some kind of investigation. What kind of investigation? Well, that we'll get into. Even Stephen Miller, suggested in a statement to news outlets today, those federal agents, quote, may not have been following protocol before the fatal shooting of Alex Preddy. This is the guy, Stephen Miller, who just days ago claimed Preddy was a domestic terrorist and an assassin who tried to murder federal agents. This is what they all tried to tell us had happened. And now, in their latest move, they have sent Attorney General Pam Bondi to Minneapolis. So there were apparently no press conferences, no cameras, no meetings with local officials. Bondi did meet with the handpicked U.S. attorney in an office that has seen 6 of those attorneys resign, assistant U.S. attorneys resign out of their objections to a directive from the Department of Justice not to investigate the first killing of Renee Good, but rather to investigate Good criminally. Bondi posted the feds have arrested 16, quote, rioters in Minnesota for allegedly assaulting federal law enforcement. She added, quote, we expect more arrests to come. I said it before and I'll say it again. Nothing will stop President Trump and the Department of Justice from enforcing the law. Yes, we know. We know how important the law is to them 40 days after the statutory deadline of the Epstein files. Bondi then proceeded to post photos of those people the feds arrested, restrained by police who, in the same photos, faced away from the camera to shield their identities, because it's important that they not be doxxed. Now, we're not sharing those images with you, but experts say it's a violation of DOJ rules. There's a reason you don't see mugshots from federal operations from DOJ. It's also obviously propaganda that I think likely endangers the safety of the people they arrested. So they're scrambling. They're on tilt. But even as they try to sort of search around to see how they can get out of the blame for their project of mass deportations, arrests, and assaults by their secret police, they are, and this is important, trying to maintain the project itself. Because it is a core to what Trumpism is. It is exactly, unfortunately, what Donald Trump promised the country when he ran. We all saw the signs they held up at the RNC for mass deportation now at the RNC. So what is unfolding in Minneapolis is their vision for the country. It is an authoritarian state with secret police who use force and intimidation and sometimes violence to cut immigrants out from the national fabric. And then the ideological project of suppressing dissent and smearing anyone who resists as domestic terrorists and as assassins. And guess what? Americans hate it. They absolutely freaking hate it. What we've seen here is that the people in Minneapolis are more resolved than ever to protect each other, their neighbors, the word they use over and over and over in every conversation, to protect their neighbors, wherever that neighbor might be from, whatever that neighbor's status might be, from this government. Today, I traveled to the Whipple Federal Building, where ICE detainees are being held, and protesters are keeping watch to see what that resistance looks like. You can see behind me, these fences have been added in the last few weeks. There's protesters who've been coming out every day for weeks in the cold here. That federal building has a lot of different federal agencies in it, and was kind of an uncontroversial building for a long time. It's been here for a while. It's on the outskirts of Minneapolis by the airport, but it has become the staging location for what DHS calls Operation Metro Surge, which means CBP and ICE officers are staging out of there. They're also bringing people that they are grabbing on the street here. Sometimes they're here briefly before they're sent in a matter of hours to an airport where they're shipped down to Dilley facility in Texas. And they've been met with protesters basically every day who are here. You can sort of feel the tension here. There's a whole set of cars back there that are giving people like snacks and hand warmers and things like that. We've talked to a bunch of people who've been coming out here now for weeks, and I don't see any sign of them stopping. Outside the facility, I met people like Dennis Dissinger. He's a retired physician who came out with a sign ridiculing border czar Tom Homan, based on the reporting from MS Now that he got a sack of cash of $50,000. Dissinger said the cause that brought him out, though, is dead serious.
I'm out here because I fear for my neighbors. My neighbors are being terrorized. It was my daughter, who lives directly across from Powderhorn Park and was involved in some mutual aid, who got me signed up for providing rides for people in the neighborhood who are terrified to leave their house. And in doing so, I realized just how awful it was, and how people are terrified. I had a woman who had her telephone or her phone camera out, using it as a dashboard camera, and I didn't understand. My Spanish is a little limited, and I was asking about it, but it was only after she left that I realized that she was actually live streaming it back to her children at home to show that she had gotten in the door at work. And I mean, wow. It's that kind of thing. It's heartbreaking. It's hard to, but that's what's going on. They're disappearing our neighbors, and they're terrorizing our community, and I'm not okay with that.
I also spoke to pastor in Minneapolis native Doug Padgett, who told me that people are determined to turn back this assault no matter how long it takes.
We're going to outlast them. We're not going to get tired. They're going to get tired, and they're going to leave. And the country's going to get tired of ICE abusing people like this. There's a saying around here, when does the ice go out? It's when does the ice melt off the lakes? Yeah. It's called Ice Out Day. You know, people will park old cars on a lake, or they used to, and make bets on when the car would sink. We know how to wait till ice out. And people around here, we're gonna outlast ICE, and we're gonna be here when ICE is out.